Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
Why, yes, I would. My name is Heather Walker, and I do voices at Funimation, most notably Aki from Maken-ki, as well as Krupo from Toriko.
Toreko. That's like the only way that I can say that show anymore because of Ian. I have to say it all manly.
Toriko, guts, guts, guts. That's all I can ever think. It's like guts, guts, guts.
Yeah, I can't
That
really
was one
pull
of the
off the
more fun
manly
shows.
voice myself.
It's always an interesting one. I don't even know if Ian can. No, I'm joking. He pulls it off way better. I actually was lucky enough to have heard some of his auditions for Toriko. My husband Tyler Walker being the director of it and the casting agent. And like he nailed it. I can't even describe how much Ian nailed it. Like he brings this beautiful human quality to that character that could have just come off like a total like bro dude, which he is a bro dude. We all know this if you've watched Toriko. But like he brings off like some softness or something. It's amazing. Like it was one of those times where I'm just like, damn, you're a good actor. Like people don't give enough credit to these anime actors sometimes, but there really is those subtle nuances that make us like or not like someone and he really made you love Toriko.
Oh,
I don't know if you feel
definitely.
the same.
Well, I
That's
love
my
Ian,
assertion.
and I love Toriko because it always makes me hungry. Like anytime I'm like, I have this bad habit. I don't know if you do this, and I found that some girls do this who work on the computer a lot. But you're like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. Let me just finish this, and you start working on something else, and then like an hour later, I'm still hungry,
Oh,
but you forget to go eat. So if I'm ever in that point, I'm like, you know what? I'll watch Toriko in the background, and
that's
then I
genius.
immediately go get food.
Probably even on mute that would work. But yeah, I can 100% understand that situation because also I'm a hairdresser in Denton, Texas, at Soho Salon. If anybody needs any kind of crazy color work or haircuts, I'm always there for you. Or if you just have questions because you live somewhere else, but I'm always there for you. But but in that case, you do the same thing. You have to turn your body off. You know, you have to turn your brain and your body off away from being hungry or whatever, just like you do on the computer. And then doing a lot of computer work, which is sort of kind of in a different way than you do. But, you know, same drill where it's just like you have to learn. So, yes, the best thing you can do is watch Toriko, get the munchies without pot, unless you live in Colorado in which case you can do both, and that is amazing.
Well, so
but
what is your secret food when you watch Toriko? What do you have to have?
oh god, you know, girl, I said this in the DVD commentary, but the truth is, I am the biggest nerd about pickles, and when I say pickles, I don't mean like our American pickles, although I love those and will eat them at any second, but like anything pickled. Like I had an audition earlier today, and to soothe my nerves, I drank sauerkraut juice.
I could
And I'm
not
not
do
talking.
that.
I know most people can't. It's kind of disgusting. And I'm not actually talking about like like a sauerkraut can, you know, or whatever, like a jar of sauerkraut that's got the sauerkraut in it, and you're just drinking a little juice. This is actually like a very expensive like bottle of rotten cabbage juice.
I can't
So
say that sounds
yes,
appealing to me,
it's not
but you know,
appealing
to
at all.
each their
But
own.
but like if you like kimchi, that's rotten cabbage as well. You know, so for the people out there that, you know, are into like some Korean food, things like that, like, you know, there's a lot of different ways that we do weird things to cabbage because obviously back in the day, poor people could keep cabbage going for a long time. So they found many different ways to preserve cabbage. But but once again, it's not all about cabbage, obviously. But uh, but yeah, pickled goods, pickled asparagus, pickled okra. I am the weirdest pickled person you will ever meet. I will glare at my husband sometimes when it's like midnight and like I'm kind of just in a stupor and I'm staying at the like refrigerator drinking pickle juice out of the jar, and he's just looking at me weird, and I'm like, no, don't you dare judge. It's like, I don't know why I'm acting like this. It's just pickle juice. But yeah, that's one of my number ones for real, and has been my entire life.
It's
Very
kind of
strange, I know.
it's kind of interesting to me that you might have that even before you go into the booth because like whenever I do any recording, I have to be like, well, have I eaten in the last hour? Because if I have, I feel
Oh yeah,
like I have that lip smacking thing going on or I'm
you
too
have to be really
salivary.
careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I guess maybe, and I don't know if this is true. I'm not a scientist. If there are scientists out there, please feel free to correct me. Tell me everything, whatever you know. But I would say it's like 45 minutes or more, maybe an hour before I'm actually going in, to the booth. But I think it actually like helps my saliva kind of get to to a better control place. And if I do anything that has like, I mean, if I drink milk, I mean, obviously I'm not drinking milk anyway before an audition, but like kefir that morning or something like that I would partake in, like that's going to get me a lot more weirdly spitty and stuff. But then also once I'm in the booth, it's lemon water, you're cutting all of that stuff. So once
Yeah,
I'm
I
in the
can
booth, it's either
understand.
tea or lemon water. So I don't know, but it does settle. Like I guess maybe also this is so cheesy, but with the sauerkraut juice, they say it's for digestion, and I can't believe I'm talking so much about sauerkraut juice. I really apologize. But maybe it just helps settle my like nerves, which tend to happen in my stomach where I get the butterflies, which are very fun until there's like too many butterflies. So I think maybe it helps with that a little bit. Yeah, but typically for me, like I eat 2 to 3 hours before I go into the booth. I do not like to eat right beforehand. Any kind of heaviness to my stomach makes me not feel quite like I can get that excitability, especially for anime, where you need to be out of this world kind of.
Well, I understand that completely, and I have to say, mentioning butterflies, while I can understand how they're a detriment, at the same time, I think having that sort of adrenaline rush can also help you in the booth at certain times.
Oh God, yeah, no, 100%, and that's why I wouldn't be taking, that's why I wouldn't be drinking a bottle of wine beforehand, or taking I don't know drugs or something beforehand. But a little sauerkraut juice, it doesn't actually like change things that much, but settles a little bit of tumminess. But yeah, I do agree that you want to feed off of that passion and that energy. Otherwise, I mean, you can't come across as dull. And if there's one thing that we all know about acting, the worst thing is to not have a not have like a performance almost, not to have a viewpoint or a place that you are taking this character. Nobody wants to listen to the middle. You want to hear something, I guess that sounds really weird, but nobody wants to hear you just being average. That's not the point. I get it with certain characters. There are average characters. In anime, you'd be surprised how few and far between those are.
Well, you do have
Very
like
few
those sort
average.
of emotionless sort of characters, but usually anime
Yes.
is very
And
high
see,
energy and action packed.
yeah. And even like to be emotionless to me is actually like a lot of energy. It just doesn't come across as a lot of energy, but it takes a lot of energy to get that emotionless. If you're an actor, like that's actually I think sometimes the hardest work. Is how do I like take everything out? Like I know so much about life and emotions and things like that. Now I'm going to have a character that's going to not know any of that. It's just a weird viewpoint. I
Well,
didn't
I've
lose you,
always
did I?
no,
Okay,
you're
good.
no, you're fine. It's just that wonderful computer delay because we're on the computer and you're on your phone. So wonderful lag happens sometimes. But I will say that in terms of energy, the interesting thing that I've always heard from, actors or coaches is that if you have too much, it's easier to scale it back than if you don't have enough energy.
Exactly. Yes, I agree, 100%. And a good director, which is what we need as actors, because very rarely are you going to be the director and the actor at once. And a good director can see the promise in that overact, and I do not suggest overacting, but that more passionate performance, and tell you where to scale back. And that's sort of what you're looking at. You know, it's almost like, this is going to sound weird, but I'm a hairdresser also. So it's almost like you over tease the hair because it's pretty easy to start smoothing afterwards. You know, like you can find those little places that just don't work. And that's a visual, you know, interpretation of a situation that it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So there you go. This is the way my mind works. I am sorry.
No, it's
I don't
fine.
think anybody that knows me wouldn't expect this from me.
I mean, it's another facet of your personality and how your mind works, and I get that because like that sort of thing actually reminds me when I'm training some of our DJs, and sometimes they just don't have enough energy, so I'm like, you need to kind of find your DJ voice. Like it's hard to explain what that is, but you need to, have a little bit more punch to your voice. And so some of them will go on air and they'll be like, "Hey, my name is so and so, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "No, no, that's not. I didn't want cheerleaders. Stop it."
Yes. What is that perfect balance? It's something that sometimes can be taught and sometimes is innate, and then you're working on other things. You know, like some people get that, and you obviously have an amazing voice for radio. You enunciate really well, but you've still got that great sensibility where it's not feeling like it's overdone, anything like that, and you feel conversational. And so you have that, but there's so many people who it might take them 5 years to get to that point, and that's just one of those things that in some ways needs to be innate if that's what you want to do. Does that
Well,
make
thank
sense?
you.
Or is that a
My
horrible thing to
my
say?
ego just grew five
Yeah.
times today,
Well,
like the
I'm just trying
Grinch's
to make
heart.
your head so big you can't leave the studio.
Well, that's a good thing. My studio is technically my room, so.
Oh, well, then now you're just stuck in your room. So sorry about that. I hope you have everything you need. I hope you have some food, some coffee, whatever else you need.
Well, I don't have the mini fridge in here yet. The only downside of not leaving is I can't go to conventions for 91.8 The Band.
Oh.
That would kind of be bad.
And is there a convention near you happening this weekend? Because I know a lot of people are talking about quite a few.
Well, I know
I
there's
can't remember the name.
Comic-Con coming up this weekend
Yeah,
that
Comic-Con. Thank you.
one of our staff members is actually going to that. However, am not because I'm nowhere near Alabama.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know where you're from, so.
I'm in Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, that's pretty awesome. I've never been to Las Vegas, but someday I hope to go for like a 2-night stay, like 3-night, 2-day, whatever. Not a big gambler, not a big alcoholic, so not really looking for all of that, but like the shows and just really photography. I'm a photographer. I mean, amateur photographer. Don't anybody start looking for like some crazy like art exhibit of mine or something like that. But but like things like that just make me want to go so bad. And I'm a big roller coaster enthusiast, so there's a
Oh,
lot
well,
of reasons
perfect.
why I want to end up in Vegas, not Vagas, which would be, I guess, those nice ballerina sculptures and paintings. Anyway,
Well, if you do get a chance to come to Vegas, you should just stay for a week because the hotels are super cheap.
really?
25,
Okay.
30, $35 a night, unlike when you go
Oh,
stay in LA or something. Also,
right.
while the shows can be expensive, there are some great places to eat that are not expensive. You just have to get away from the strip.
Oh,
And
yeah, and I'm all about that. Like, my
okay.
main thing is eating some good, like, for real, like, local food or ethnic food, something like that. I don't really need to go to Chili's or anything like that, or Planet Hollywood or whatever the heck would be in Vegas.
Well, I will say my new place that I've been suggesting to people who visit on the strip is at the Cosmopolitan. It's called Holdstein's. It's like a burger place with like homemade milkshakes, and you could just go for the milkshakes and
Oh,
they're to die for. And you could get alcoholic
oh,
milkshakes if you want, which some people tell me they
oh,
sound terrible. I don't drink myself, even though I'm able to drink. I'm just not a fan of it.
right.
But anyone I've taken who's gotten the alcoholic milkshakes has loved them. So.
No, I definitely do drink, especially in times like that. When there's something that like you can't recreate, ever again. I could see where an alcoholic milkshake could work, like a mudslide type one, or something like that. I could see that working. But either way, I don't care. Milkshakes already, I'm in. We went to a place in San Diego many years ago, and I wish I could remember the name. I feel really bad, but it was very 50s, like very, very, or actually, yeah, it was San Diego, but very, very 50s themed, you know. But they had these girls come out and they would sing these songs and all that. But they had these amazing milkshakes, and one of theirs was the Elvis, and I'll never forget it. And this has been like 7 or 8 years, girl. But like I will never forget it. Peanut butter, banana, chocolate milkshake. Oh, and I think
Now I'm
some marshmallows somewhere
hungry.
in there. I
Curses.
know. We need milkshakes.
It's Toriko's
I
fault.
know.
I blame Toriko. That started this
Yeah,
whole
you know,
conversation.
it's true. You get Krupo on the phone, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we should be thinking about some more food stuff. Like, because there's some good food in Las Vegas, I'll tell you. Now, would you ever be making your way to, like, DFW area? Because I could tell you some good food around here.
You know, I've always wanted to travel to that area. It really just depends if a convention wants us to go. So
Right. So you need Akon to give you the A-OK.
that would be nice. We would love that. And
All
we'd love
right.
to meet
I gotcha.
all the wonderful Funimation people. We see them
Yeah.
passing at different conventions, but we've never been on their home turf.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will always put in my non-influential good word for you. My husband has a little bit more influence, so he'll put in a good word for you.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
we'll
Well,
hope that we can just go up the ladder to the point that at some point somebody who matters actually puts in the good word.
well then hopefully I can do the same thing here in Vegas. Then you can come
Oh,
party in
that's
Vegas
awesome.
one day.
Actually, the guy who runs one of the Vegas cons ran HaberCon. I don't know if you
Um,
heard about
I
HaberCon.
believe that was Rich from Anime
Yes,
Vegas.
yes, it was. It was Rich from Anime Vegas. I know nothing about anybody, so if there is some sort of crazy like drama going on, I know nothing, so I'm not in the middle of it.
Oh, I
But
adore Rich. And I
okay,
have gone to
good.
Anime Vegas
I hate to
for.
bring up people and then be like, well, who knows what anybody else thinks. No,
No,
I
it's
adore
fine.
him
I've
too.
gone to Anime Vegas for 9 years.
Oh,
Last year
okay,
was supposed to be my 10th year, but I actually had to go to Youmacon, which I love Youmacon. They're one of my favorite conventions to go to, but sadly the dates corresponded. It would have been my 10th
right.
Anime Vegas, though.
Ah, I would have been a good, like maybe you would have gotten a gold watch. Who knows what you missed out on? Uh, but yeah, he actually like pretty much ran or sponsored HaberCon, which was obviously it was in Dallas and it was called Habercorn Con, the only con I've ever been to based around one particular anime actor, and it was very interesting. I have to give a big shout out to my HaberCon family, which includes a lot of DFW kids, but also many kids or women and men who traveled from many other places. Really, I mean, some of these people were traveling from like the Northeast and stuff just to come and be a part of this. But Todd Habercorn put his heart out there and did such a good job. But it was definitely that Rich that you're talking about that sponsored the whole thing. We're going to do another one, I think, in August, somewhere around there. We'll have another HaberCon for anybody that's around DFW. I highly suggest it. I think it's a very intimate approach to cons. It's different, It's like, I guess in the last one, like he actually had kids audition or humans. Sorry to call you all kids, but had people audition, and from there actually let them be a part of having an engineer and a director, and the director being my husband, the engineer being a very great man, Stephen Hoff, who we probably all know. But he had them go up, and they were able to do dubbing of lines and to kind of be a part of the experience and to get directed, to be told like, oh, you got to do it faster, you got to do it slower, whatever. All that stuff that happens kind of in the booth, although it's not exactly like the booth. But I thought it was a really cool thing, and I think that the next one's going to be even like more interesting. There's going to be more interactive things like that. And actually a couple of the people I know for sure that were a part of that are getting auditions at Funimation, and I can say it's actually like not a bad thing to be a part of. Um, and certainly quite a few of them caught Tyler's eye, who's a director, and caught my eye, and so I'm pushing HaberCon.
Awesome. It sounds like a
Yeah,
fun, event. I heard about it
and
from
it's
Todd when we
weird.
were both at YomaCon, and I was like, really? It's like a one-day thing, and I was like, that's going to be interesting. I hope it goes well for
It
you.
was
So
it
I'm
was
glad it turned
really
out
weird.
well.
Yeah, yeah, it really did turn out well, and it was really weird. I've never seen anything like that exactly. And then also, my husband's a drummer. Todd's a guitarist. He brought his friend Polo in to do some bass or actually to do the other guitar, and then Chubbs, which is Chris George, who's an engineer at Funimation, was another guitarist. And they did like a whole, like, I think at least a 30-minute set of songs that Todd has written. So there was a lot like that you couldn't see anybody anywhere else that happened during that special moment for all of us. So yeah,
Well,
go to Habercon, go to every con you can, you guys. It's totally worth it.
well, for the
Well,
fans
not
out
every
there,
con, I guess.
do you do you have any conventions coming up in 2014?
Well, no, actually, I don't. Unfortunately, like we definitely have rumors floating around, and we definitely have some things in the works, but nothing that I can actually announce. Unfortunately, I would say if things are going to happen the way that I think that they are, you could expect us in some of our favorite places, and you won't be surprised by that if you know us. But things like some places maybe in Arizona, California, a few places like that, we're looking at or we're hoping for. We're not looking at it. It's not like we're making these like broad decisions. We'll go anywhere anybody wants us as long as everything works out. But one thing I will say is we have been asked for. Been asked to several cons by people who are fans and very sweet. I always like to mention that we are a 2-for-1 couple. So if anybody out there is thinking about us for a con, for real, I mean, we share our entire lives together. So you can save a little money with us, you know.
God, you just gave me a
And
great Valentine's Day convention idea for voice acting couples. Just get all the
ooh,
two for one deal.
it's true though, because you save like money. Like we're gonna stay in the same bed, so you don't have to get 2 hotel rooms. We can do panels together and just work off of each other. It's sort of like Wheel of Fortune when they have the couples on. So it's like, oh, well, whenever I can't say something, he says something. But also, I mean, it's kind of fun to see that dynamic, and there are more and more people hooking up within the industry. Obviously, I would go into gossip, but I'm not allowed.
We'll
But
respect their privacy.
yeah, we'll expect we will we'll respect that to a certain degree. At some point, I will probably give up on that respect when it starts to get really obvious. But I do see many people, and I mean, of course, it makes sense. There's nobody crazier than well, anime fans and people that are voice acting anime and people who are part of the production of anime. So of course they're going to get together at some point. Somebody has to be with us. I'm
Very
teasing.
true.
I'm
It's
totally
lonely in
teasing.
that padded booth. But for all the listeners out there, we're going to take a very short break. So if you want to make your little love connections with your favorite voice actors, now is the time to do it. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Hey, everybody out there, you're still tuned to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and my special guest is still here, alive and breathing,
That's me, alive and breathing.
and giggling, which is
And
what I do
giggling a
too.
whole lot. It's impossible for me not to giggle a little or a
No, I'm
lot.
the same way. Like, even when I talk and nothing's funny, I just giggle naturally. It's
Oh
just a
yeah,
part of my
yeah.
voice.
Like I also do that with yawns when it's like I'm really not actually bored, but here I am yawning. So be glad I'm giggling and not yawning.
That's
That's a good
true.
sign for the interview.
Well, now I wanted to bring up obviously your latest show, which has to do with a lot of boobs and butts and bathing suits and fan service.
Yes, really, really. I mean, when I saw, I don't know, are we talking about the same show? No, I'm joking. Of course, yes, it is. Yeah, it's boobalicious.
Well, now I have to
Uh,
say for those type of shows or those interesting to do, or do you look at that and you go like, really? Huh.
I think it would be impossible to say that they're not interesting to do. Yeah, it's very interesting to do, and I think, and this depends on the person and all that, but sexuality is a part of our normal human experience. In a show like that, yes, I think there are some characters who are perhaps a little younger than I would say. I would prefer to be sexualized or something like that, but they're freaking cartoon characters. We are not putting anybody in danger. Um, every single voice that's on there just about is close enough to an adult. Like you're not, you don't ever have to worry about that. But lending my voice to that kind of work is actually some of the most satisfying work I've ever had. I love being sexy. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think more women should find that side of themselves anyway. And with Aki, now I don't know if more women should be like this, but the character that we're talking about from Maken-ki, she's just a sweet, dumb nurse, and there's no other way she could be almost in this world. Obviously, in our world, it would be a whole different story for her, which could be a horrific story. I feel like she would almost be like, I don't even want to talk about what I think she would be in the real world. But in her world,
I don't, nobody ask where my mind went.
Maybe that's where I need to write some fan fiction or something. The dark, dark, dark fan fiction. Like, oh, poor Aki. Like, this is where she ended up in life. But no, in the world that it's in, she's kind of pretty nice, actually. She is pretty much comic fodder, and then at the same time, she's also just a fantasy. It is so rare she's actually doing something. It is typically what other people are thinking about what she's doing. So she's innuendo, and that works really great for me. I love that kind of stuff. I love playing with that. And I don't mind fan service probably as much as a lot of girls. I'm also a little older, so, I'm not competitive with cartoon characters. And I mean, she's obviously unreal, like, unless Dolly Parton or somebody came to life, but, she's kind of unreal too. But, yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky to have voiced her. I really do. That is one of my favorite characters, but a lot of it has to do with like her sweetness, not necessarily the boobies. But
well, I hope I didn't give the wrong impression. I hope I didn't give the wrong impression with that because,
you didn't. No, you didn't. That's what everybody wants to talk about, and that y'all are all right. That's a nice set right there.
Well, for me, I feel like fan service shows should be for everybody. Like, I wish there were more, fan service shows for me with the males without their shirts. That would be nice.
Well, okay, let's talk, and I'm going to throw us off a little, but let's talk a little bit about what I've learned from my experiences being on a few message boards and stuff. But Fairy Tale gives you gray, gives you Natsu. I get it. You're not going to get like some balls out of it, but you get probably what you want a little bit. Gray is one of the sexiest like characters you've ever seen. I don't know if you watch Fairy Tale, but that's a sexy character. I mean, he's hot, So there's a lot of hot guys. I mean, in this particular one, no offense to Ian Sinclair, but your main guy is not really a hot character. I mean, does he even have the nosebleeds? Does he? I can't remember. Does he have nosebleeds in that one? I don't know. I don't know if he has nosebleeds or not, but we all know that's a trope. But he's a loser a little bit, like in a weird way. He's got to like climb on a tree to go look and see what's going on, and all of that with nudity in the girl realm or whatever. But I would say that also anime kind of gives some of these girls, even though I know it's a sexualized approach, it gives us a little bit more power in a lot of cases than you would have in, I guess, porn, which is not necessarily the best way to put it. But also, I mean, you actually get, as far as 20 to 40, let's say something like that, there are actually a lot of interesting roles in anime that you might not find in like a film career. It depends. But, like, there's some badasses in anime, you know? Like, we're talking some superheroes. I'm not saying that this is one of them by any means. But, I don't know. I think I just lost my track of mind, but that's very normal. I get confused very easily.
Well, a good recent example of like male fan service for females, which
Mhm.
isn't licensed by anybody, it's available on Crunchyroll, however, is a show called
Mm.
Free, which is about a bunch of boys in swimming club. So, you know, you've got boys in
Yeah.
like Speedos doing stretches and things. It's really nice. It's really nice. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
so, you
I'll
know,
have to check that out.
it would be nice to see, you know, sometimes those two genres combined, but Free actually got a lot of backlash by male otaku or male fans who
Really?
didn't want any fan service in their like of men in their anime. Like,
Well.
you know, but it's kind of like, guys, come on.
Mm.
You get all these bouncing boobs all the time and we just want some stretching and speedos. It's chill. We'll trade.
And you know what? We are expected. No offense to the dude, and you know, I certainly love my otaku and who love me and all that. But in all honesty, we are expected to sort of appreciate the female form in some ways, especially in anime. I mean, as women, accept it. Accept it. There's this crazy female form. So I can't say that I feel really like that's a very fair assessment from these otaku. I think that they might need to look at what we're interested in too. I mean, isn't it kind of a give and take anyway? And like you're saying with that, it I don't like feeling demeaned for finding a male very sexy.
Mhm.
Why should I? Why should I?
Exactly.
No guy is feeling demeaned by feeling that thinking Aki sexy, who is absolutely the 100% most ridiculous looking woman on earth. But if I want to, and I see some guy with an elephant-sized penis, apparently, because that'd be the only thing that can compare like an Aki version of a another character. But like, hey, if I like it, I like it. I don't
Hey,
know. You know what
I've
I'm
been
saying?
saying to people for
Girl
years.
power.
Well, that too. I've been saying that since I was like 6. But I've been saying to people for years, especially in video games, hey, if guys want to look at bouncing boobs and they're dead or alive or whatever, I've been looking at Snake's butt for, I don't know, 10 years or so. Like, I mean, he crawls on the floor all the time to sneak by. It's chill. I've got that to look at, you know, just throw me a bone here or there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah. I think that probably in anime, I know it's skewed. I know that there's probably more boys that like anime, but I'm not sure about this newer generation, like your millennials and people like that. I think we're getting really close to a 50-50 split here. You know, like I think we all like it. And the girls obviously like dressing up like the sexy characters that they see in cosplay. And the boys actually like dressing up as the sexy characters they see in cosplay. So let's just all admit we like sex and we like sexy people, and 100% that's okay. That's a part of getting past about 14 or 15 or so, whatever. But like wherever you hit your adolescence, whatever you want to call it. But like once you get past that point, sexy people are awesome. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And especially when you're talking about sexy people that are cartoon characters.
I can
You know,
agree
so
with
you're
you.
you know, like no danger. Nobody is being hurt by this, I promise.
Well, for the
You
fans out
know?
there that want to see some of your other sexy characters, do you have any other projects that we haven't talked about that you want them to know about or anything that's coming soon?
Well, you know, I do a lot of like creatures and I do a lot of bits. I am definitely the girl you're gonna find being 11C girl holding fish. You know, like something like that. So like it's gonna be hard to. I mean, you if you are fanatic, you can find me through all those shows. But overall, I am very, very, very proud of my work as Krupa, which is a bird. But you know, I'll do a little Krupa for y'all for 1 second. But you know, it's so it's basically like being a Pokemon character that just says your name over and over and over again. But like, I fly off. I do a lot of like screaming, which is one of the things I love the most. But then also, I would love for people to pay a little bit of attention, and I know this is not ever going to be the anime that gets everybody going, but Shangri-La is something that I can say the story is convoluted. It's very postmodern, very hard to understand, but every single performance in it, if you love voice acting, is impeccable. Every single person. I really truly believe this. Well, okay, maybe I should -5. I don't know. But basically, every single character that I can think of put their heart and soul into their characters. Story is so postmodern. I don't know, and I think that's where it had a hard time selling. But my character in that is my favorite character I've ever done, and I will always be in love with him. His name is Hiriko. He's a screaming banshee. I had to scream at the top of my lungs for hours to make this happen, and we got reviews. We actually won best anime of, I think it was 2012, 2013, I don't remember, but for some small publication. Don't go getting too excited, but we actually won that, and like I even got like my first good review where it was like, actress Heather Walker like held her own with Hiriko, which is and a little bit more than that, but still, which is like the best thing you can hear when you're going so far outside of what anybody thinks you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing things like all these sexy sounding characters or all these like childlike characters or basically creatures is really what I do a lot of. So I would love for people to watch Shangri-La. That would be awesome. But then I also have to throw in just really quick that my husband directed Bakano, and if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. And I have nothing to do with it, but you gotta see it. That is anime canon, and he is, to me, I am not going to put words in anybody else's mouth, one of the best directors of anime that I mean, he is the best director of anime as far as I'm concerned. He also did Basilisk, so if you're in the mood for something a little bit more adult but not sexualized, go check out Basilisk. That's amazing. He did Hellgirl with Brina. We all know Brina is the next up-and-coming star. She's doing Starcrossed and so many different interesting things. God, he's done so much. I shouldn't just get into promoting him. But as far as promoting myself, there are things coming up. So, never give up on me. I'm always doing something. And I really, really hope that I can continue doing this as long as possible because it is a true love of mine. And I appreciate the support that I've gotten and so much love from the anime community. You guys are really ridiculously supportive and really cool people, and I really appreciate it. It's definitely not lost on me.
Well, to receive any more love, can you tell the listeners out there where they can stalk you in a nice way on the internet? Do you do social media?
Uh, of course. Look me up on Facebook. I'm Heather Bransom Walker, and that is pretty much my official Facebook profile to go ahead and find me there. And then on Twitter, I am Heather Walker, but that's at Scissorhands11. And my husband, Tyler Walker, is Monkey Shines 9. So if you want to catch any of like either of us, please do. And then I actually have an email if anybody wants a little bit more conversation or has questions or, whatever. Just send me an email. I'm not going to promise you I'm getting back to you, but send it anyway. Who cares? But it's heather.scissorhands@gmail.com. I would love to hear what you have to say, and I would also love to ask for my friends and fans and everybody in between to ask us to be at your local cons because we would love to come meet you. And I would love to meet everybody that I can. I'm a big believer in John Waters' quote. I'm a big John Waters fan, not necessarily every single movie. I think some should be short, but still, he has my heart. But his quote is, "You can never know too many people." And I stand by that. And I think that everybody should listen to that. Don't hide in your house. Go have some fun. Go out there, meet people, enjoy yourself, and make your life the most beautiful thing that you can.
And I think that's amazing advice. Usually I ask for people to give words of wisdom or something at the end of the interview, but you kind of already did that for me.
Oh, sorry. I'm just ahead of the game, this thing.
Hey,
No,
it all works out.
but thank you guys so much too. I really do feel so honored to be a part of this. And it's so good that it was like, I hate to say it this way, but I really, really am like so glad that I got to talk to another woman in the industry. That's freaking awesome.
I know that
And
feeling.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like that's freaking awesome. I hope that I get to meet you someday, and I hope y'all keep continuing with the good work because everybody, like I said, from Todd Habercorn down, but we're not going to go all the way down the list. But everybody has such good things to say about y'all's program.
Oh, that makes us feel so great. But before we say goodbye, we do have a 91.8 The Fan tradition, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to participate.
I am always willing to participate.
Wonderful. We wish that you could do a radio bump for us. Basically, we ask if you
Okay.
could say, "Hello, my name is," you insert your name. I do this. You can say characters, you're a voice actress, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
All right.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, my name is Heather Walker, and I am a voice actress for Funimation, most notably for my role with Aki Niju from Maken-ki, and you are listening to 91.8 The Fan.
Look at that. That wasn't hard at all.
Well, thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. I can always do a second take. I'm used to it.
Oh no, it worked out perfectly. I mean, the
Awesome.
listeners, you kind of teased the listeners because you didn't give them any sort of goof up, but that's fine. That means you're in the top 10%.
Hey, I like the way you think. Well, seriously, thank you so much. You have
And
no
thank
idea. This
you.
made my Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy
This
Valentine's Day and happy Valentine's Day
happy
to all the
Valentine's Day.
listeners.
Exactly. I love you all, major XOXOXO. And if I'm still talking to listeners, I would like to let y'all know that you are all special. It does not matter what happens on Valentine's Day. Just don't worry about being mine. Be yours.
And get lots of chocolate just to indulge in. It's okay if you gain 15
And
pounds, at least it tasted good.
and just as an FYI, chocolate's on sale tomorrow.
Yeah. But no, thank you so much for joining us today. And if any of the
Thank
listeners
you.
out there missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can catch it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.